Review is 22 questions. Your test tomorrow will only be 20. There are one or two on here that won't be on your test tomorrow, but I will tell you there's also a few on here that'll be on there multiple times. There's one specific question that's on there like 4 different times because it's something I really want us to hammer in. And I'll give you a hint right now. It's about the graphing ones. The graphing ones where it's like 1/3 x cubed minus 2 plus 4. There's like 4 of those tomorrow with all different parents. I really want you guys to have a somewhat of a decent grasp on that. All right. Now, just for the sake of the practice with the clicker, it's okay if you don't finish answering the question until we start going. Just whenever we're done with the question and I've showed you what the answer is, put in that answer, and at the end I can make sure it read all of your answers. So it's okay if, like today, it's cheating. It's just a review, so I don't care. Okay. But if you want to know what you would made honestly, then try to answer them before we go over. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what section it was. I think it was just like 1/7. It was just like 2 sections of it. Yeah, it's on them. Yeah, it's on them. Oh, it's easy. You can just pay attention right here. Okay. Who can tell me how to solve this question? Yes, sir. That is something I could do. What's another way I could solve this? You're absolutely right. You could solve it like that. But what's another way I could solve this? Just need to make sure it's recording. It is. What's another way I could solve this, somebody? How do you check and see if two functions are inverses of each other? I'm sorry? Yeah, compose them back and forth and see if they filter down to x. Now, we can make an educated guess here. Who can raise your hand and guess which two, if any, are going to be inverses of each other? Jared? Yeah, g of x and h of x. Why? That's right. For the most part, now not entirely every time, there's going to be complete opposites. Cube root, cube, minus 4, plus 4. So that's a good sign. So we're going to start out with g of x and h of x and play that hunch. So I'm going to do it the composition way. First off, g of h, cube root, x cubed plus 4, minus 4. I just plug the h of x function into g of x. So what happens first? What's going to happen first here? That's right, the 4's canceled. Minus 4 plus 4. You're left with the cube root of x cubed. What happens there? X. So far so good, or have we had a speed bump? So far so good. So h of g, that'll be the cube root of x minus 4. Damn it, my little eraser button is not working today. Sorry. Cubed plus 4. Now, because of the order of operations, it's going to handle this one a little differently. What do I do first? That's right, the cubes are going to cancel first. So that leaves me with x minus 4 plus 4, which cancel, leaving you with x. Are these inverses of each other? Yes, they are. So G and H is correct. The answer was A. So at this time, you'd be putting in A, enter, into your clicker. Number 2. Oh, and was there a question on that one? Anybody have a question on that problem? Okay. There, let's do this mine. Yes, I did. It stopped reading. Like my pen died or something. Number 2. Take a second to look at that, and we'll answer this one. This is the kind that there's going to be 4 of. Now, notice the answers are a little out of order. I had to mix and match them to try to get them to fit on the screen together. There we go. I know that's a little small for you people in the back. This is one of the only ones I couldn't really blow up because it was already too big. So all 4 of them have the same parent. The dotted one, which might be hard for you to see, is the actual function. So that's what you're actually looking for accuracy. Let's look at the easy stuff first. Who can raise your hand and tell me what shifts are happening here? Up 3. So let's just look at which ones are going up 3. That looks like A and D went up 3. Now what's the other shift? Right 6. Well, it looks like they both went right 6. So that didn't help us. 1/4. Is that going to make it steeper or broader? Broader. Remember, that number is like a slope. And the lower your slope, the flatter it's going to be. So, is it A or D? A. You don't even have to make an XY chart for any of those tomorrow if you just remember those keys. If you did not remember those keys, then you would have to make an XY chart. And where would I center my XY chart? What X value would I center around? Where's this thing going to break? At positive 6. What's going to make what's inside the parent equal to 0? 6. So if you were going to make an XY chart, you would need to put that number in the middle. That way you'll see the entire break. If you centered this at 0, you're not going to see anything relevant. So please remember that. Questions about this question? I don't know if there's any more like this one on the review, but there will be like 4 of those tomorrow on the test with all different parents. So make sure you look at those. That was from section, I think, 1.4, 1.5, wherever those parents were. You may want to, was it 1.6? So you want to go back and look at that. No questions on this problem? Okay. Number 3, find the domain. Find the domain. I'll give you a moment to look it over and put in a guess if you wish. Hopefully everybody put in A for number 2 on that last problem so I can make sure it's reading all your answers later. What is it we need to focus on if we're worried about the domain? The denominator. The numerator has absolutely no meaning to us unless it should cancel with something. So, how do I solve and see? You just need to set that equal to 0, which essentially means factor it if you can. But if you can't, you'll. Of course, there are also obvious hints here, like you can probably guess what numbers to try to plug in, guessing by what the answers are. Anybody know how this factors? That's right. This factors down into x plus 9 and x minus 9, meaning negative 9 is going to be a problem and positive 9 is going to be a problem. 0 is not a problem for this function. That would just give you 0 over negative 81, which is just 0, but it's not illegal. So which of these answers is it going to be? D. You can go from negative infinity to negative 9, where you hit your first speed bump. Then you can go from negative 9 to 9, where you hit your second speed bump, and then 9 to infinity. These little u's, that's just a mathy way of saying and this, and this. Questions about how to solve that problem? Other than denominators, what's the only other thing we have to worry about when it comes to domains? Very good. Right. Number 4. Determine the domain and range for this function, going by the graph. I'll give you a second to look at that while I take attendance. And pause my open. Look at that. Coming up with an answer. Oh, I forgot to recover it, didn't I? My bad. The answer was D. Who has a theory about number 4? Let's see. How far left's it going to go? Negative infinity. How far right's it going to go? Are there any breaks in it horizontally? No. So we can cross off A and C because it should go from negative infinity to positive infinity. Well, the only difference here is the range. Looks like they both go down to negative infinity, but how high does this function go? Which makes it B. Yeah. B. Questions? At any time, please raise your hand if you have a question about where something's coming from or how we answer something. Number 5. Now, to save space, I put 4 problems up here. You're only working on number 5. I've whited out the other questions so that you wouldn't be tempted to work ahead. So, number 5 is what you're working on right now, with the answers right below. And we'll once again attempt to take it in. Any theories? What's it going to be? B? I think you're right. It is B. Domain. You just list the x values in order. Although they didn't list them in order, did they? They just mixed them on up. But -7, -3, and 5 are the 3 different numbers. Wow, that's really all you had to look at because none of them had that same domain. If something occurs more than once, you do not have to list it more than once. That's why there's only 3. And then for the range, same thing. List your y values. Now you may notice it said graph the domain and give the domain and range of the relation because it didn't necessarily say it was a function. They just wanted you to see if you knew what you were looking for with repeating that or with x's and y's. Questions on number 5. All right. Here's number 6. Try that one. Gesundheit. Yes. As long as they are handwritten. You may not use the print-off copy of this practice test tomorrow. That is not handwritten. You may use anything and everything that is handwritten by you. Sure, if you want to handwrite the whole practice test, go for it. Anybody have a theory on this problem? Who can tell me how to work this problem? Yes, use the formula. What's the formula? Very good. And then same thing with the y's, right? Very good. So, oops, sorry. So that's going to be 2 plus 7 over 2 and 4 plus 5 over 2. Both of those are 9 over 2, which do not reduce. So the answer is C, Charlie's cucumber. I just do that kind of stuff to have fun. Any questions on that one? Anybody have a theory about what number 7 is asking? I'm betting it is a distance. And it is. Find the distance between those 2 coordinates. The video for this test review will be online by 9:30 today. So well before you get home. So if you have any questions, you may access it again tonight. Did anybody have any trouble printing off the test who tried to? That's fine, but did anybody try and have trouble? Oh, that's good. That's good. All right, who can tell me the formula? That's good. Which gave you 2 minus 4, or 4 minus 2, whichever order you went in. Negative 3 minus negative 7, which gave you negative 2 squared. And then positive 4 squared, 4 and 16. And what did that reduce to? What does radical 20 reduce to? 2 radical 5. Square root of 4 times the square root of 5, which turns into 2 radical 5. Number 7 is C. Please put that into your clicker. I just went the first coordinate, then the second coordinate. I didn't do second minus first. I should have probably. Here's the thing. The distance formula, since it's going to be squared anyway, the order in this one formula, order doesn't matter so much. But I guess to be a stickler, because most of the other formulas, order does matter. So I'll try to go in the correct order next time. But because you square it, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. Really? Well, how did you plug it in? Read me the actual stuff you put. Oh, okay. Alrighty. Did you actually do like X, Y, X, Y? Yeah, that's a common thing. Any other questions on this problem? Alright. Number 8. Oh, let me get this out of the way. Find the indicated. Basically, compose those. Compose G of F. F of G would have been the far more difficult composition. As you work it, I'm going to start working up here so you can check your work. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. Check on it. Not that I haven't written it up here already or anything, but our answer is going to be D. Darryl Donuts. Questions on that problem? Just plug one function into X for the other function. No questions? Alright, we're over a third done. Making good progress here. Anybody need me to leave this up there for a moment? Alright, number 9. Write an equation in point-slope form. Okay. Well, it looks like they used the, oh no, they just did both, didn't they? What's the first step here? We don't have a crucial piece of the point-slope form. What is it? The slope. Of course, it's staring you in the face 8 different times in the answers, so feel free to take those little shortcuts tomorrow. What do you think the slope's going to be? I'm thinking it's going to be negative 1/3. So let's go ahead and just make sure. y2 minus y1 over x. Dang it, went that order. It's really making me mad. x2 minus x1. As long as you go in the same order both times, it doesn't really matter if you. So negative 7 plus 6 is negative 1. Negative 5 plus 8 is positive 3. Hey, what do you know? It's negative 1/3. So it's all about now which option correctly plugged in the 2 coordinates. Let's see. I hear a b minus -7 minus -5 minus -6 minus -8. I'm thinking it's b as well. And it is. 'Twas b. Questions on that one? No? I guess you definitely want to know tomorrow what point slope form is, so please make sure you have this formula somewhere in your notes. That is point slope form. And if it asks you for slope intercept form, all you need to do is solve for y. Once you get that. Questions? Okay. You might need me to leave this up there for a moment. Click. Relative min and relative max. They want you to label where the maximum and where the minimum are. Take a second. Who thinks they can tell me the answer to this question? Yes, sir. It is C. We have a maximum at 0, 1, and a minimum at 2, -3. Very good. Very, very good. Questions? All right. So, well, I'll wait until we're done with this one. Determine whether the relation is a function. As soon as you think you know, raise your hand. Although everyone should know this one. Trojan. B. Why not? That's right. It's not a one-to-one function. We plugged in baby seals twice and did not get toasted baby seals out the second time. So they have to have the same y value if you're going to have a repeating x value. Not a function. Excuse me? We're halfway done. If you think so far so good, like I think I'm going to do well in this test tomorrow, thumbs up. If you think you're going to do really bad, just by what we've done so far, give me a thumbs down. And if they give me a nothing. Okay, good. Several people are confident. Some people aren't, but I have a feeling those people, it's not because of the problems, it's just because they don't have confidence in their math abilities. But you've got to get over, people. Number 12. The solid line L contains the point 4, 3 and is perpendicular to the dotted line whose equation is y equals 2x. Give the equation of line L in slope-intercept form. So we are actually looking for the equation of the solid line in slope-intercept form. You could actually do this without having to do really any math. What's a way I can make some logical deductions here? Yes, but first, what form is this supposed to be in? Slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b. Which two answers aren't in that form? A and B. Take shortcuts if they're there. Is our whole line going uphill or downhill? So what's its slope should be? Negative. Which one can we cross off? And the answer is C. Now, let's assume tomorrow they don't make the answer quite so obvious. Here's what you should have done. Let's see. Perpendicular to y equals 2x. So what's our slope here? 2. What's the perpendicular slope to 2? -1/2. So start out in point slope form. -1/2 x minus 4. Plug in your coordinate. Solve for y. add the 3, and, wait, 5, I can add. There we go. And it is C. That's how mathematically you would get it. Because most likely you're going to have to do it the mathy way tomorrow. Questions? All right. Do I need to leave this up there? 13. Vertical line test. Just put a thumb up if you think it is a function, thumbs down if you think it's not. And you are correct. It is a function. Only thing we have to worry about is if it hits multiple times. Gaps do not bother us. Quick little review question. Would the inverse of that function be a function? Why not? A little louder. That's right, it doesn't pass the horizontal line test. So even if we knew what this function was, its inverse would not be a function because it doesn't pass the horizontal line test. Good. There may be one of those. All right. Again, I just put 3 questions up here. The only one you're looking at the top one. Evaluate the function at the given value. This is really nothing more than a composition, really. "14. Who can tell me how to set this problem up? Yes, ma'am. Very good. Plug in x plus 4 for every x. So that's going to be x plus 4 squared plus 3. What do I have to do here? FOIL. Yes. Please do not say that that is x squared plus 16. Pretty please. So it'd be plus 8x. Well, let me show every step. When you FOIL, then you tack on the plus 3 at the end of the problem. Adding your like terms, that's x squared plus 8x plus 19, making the answer a B. Questions on that problem? Number 15. Well, hopefully you can read through that. Find the inverse. And this goes back to what you said earlier about the first inverse question. Find the inverse. Somebody other than Shelby, Jared, Drake, or Troyan, tell me how to do this problem. I will sit here and wait. Participation is lacking. Thank you, Holly. How am I going to do this? Very good. Alrighty. So when I start solving, first thing I have to do is... These are not rhetorical questions, people. First thing I have to do is... cube root. Thank you, Joey. Oh, this is a J. Yeah. Then subtract the 3. And our answer is... That's right, it is D. It's written on the board. D. You know what I have to start doing in here? I'm going to have a roster in front of me every day. And every time somebody says something, I'm going to cross their name off until everyone says something. Nobody can say something more than once. That's what we're going to have to do, people. Learning is a participation sport. Oh, well then you just need to pounce on the ones you're confident in. That's ridiculous. That'll be none. I've seen your mind in action. It can do wonderful things. Average rate of change to this function. Average rate of change is a big fancy way of saying what? Slope, yeah. So find the slope. They give you the x's, you have to find your own y's. This is that assignment we did in groups that day when y'all were working by yourselves. This is one of the more calculus-based concepts. Stuff like this. I'll put in the easy part for you. Who can tell me what my y values were? What were my y values that I should have plugged into this problem? Okay, let's put it like this. In function notation, what is the same thing as y? F of x. Y equals the square root of 2x. So to find y, what do you think you're going to be plugging in for your x value? 2 and 8. Plug in 8 first. 2 times 8 is 16. Square root of 16, 4. Plug in 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. What does that fraction reduce to? 1/3 is your average rate of change. D. D. Questions on that one? $17. What are the x and y intercepts of this function? Sooner someone other than someone who's already answered a question, which now includes Holly, answers that, and Joey, then we can move on. Yes, Austin. A, let's see, y-intercept of -3, x-intercepts of positive and -3. By George, I think it is A. So now that list contains Austin too, of people who can't speak up. Thank you, though. That's excellent. Very good. Very, very good. Questions? You know, Rachel answered one earlier too, so I'm going to put her in that list too. That's 8 people who can't answer. The other 15 of you have to step up. 17, whatever it is. 18. Identify the interval for which this function is increasing. Well, Josh stepping up. Okay, what did you say it was? C. Let's see. Well, it is going uphill from -2 to -1. Remember, you look at the x values. And it's also going uphill from 3 to infinity. So by golly, I think it is C. Josh is now on my list as well. That sounds like a bad thing. It's actually a good thing to be on the list. And I'm not checking it twice. Because I don't, you know, this is just weird. I'm going to stop. I don't think the Santa Claus reference works at all. Okay. Questions? Okay. I put 2 questions up here. You're just looking at 19 right now. Take a gander. When you think you know. When you think you know, raise your hand. Seamus. B. Let's see. Well, let's just see if it is B first. It is. Thank you, Seamus. You are now on my good list. Very good. Parallel to this line means it has the same slope of -2, which immediately crossed off A and D because they don't have slopes of -2. And then really all you had to look at is which one had the correct coordinate. 1 for the y value and 5 for the x value. Very good. Questions on that one? Who thinks, just by looking at the answers, who thinks you can predict what the next question is going to be asking? Yes, who said that? You are on my list now too, Jordan. It's going to be a circle. Write the standard form of the equation of the circle with that center and that radius. Ho-hum. We'll sit here all day, I guess. Yes, ma'am. B. Let's see. X minus -8, which makes it +8. Y minus 10. Square root of 19 squared is just 19. By George, I think it is B. Very good. You are on my list. The answer is puppy. Remember, formula for a circle. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Formula for circle. Questions on that problem? All right. Click. That is what you do. No. I see what you're saying. You mean like, why wouldn't you just square root all the way through, just have x minus h, y minus k, and r? See, remember when I talked the other day about checking to see if pieces of algebra would work? Like, let's look at an example there. Like, let's say 2 squared plus 3 squared. Nope. We're going to use the universal one. 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared, right? But 3 plus 4 does not equal 5. Algebraically, you can't do that. But I like where your head's at. Thinking ahead. All right. Now, I didn't make this one multiple choice just because I didn't feel like doing it. So just guess on 21. That way, at least I'll read an answer that you put in. And we'll just graph this thing ourselves. Well, yeah, and I already printed it off. I didn't make a slide for the answers because I wanted this to be big enough for everybody to read. So, someone who has not yet spoken up can graph this thing. Yeah, you should have spoken up. One of you people asked to graph. That's up to the plate. Assuming you do this right down my list. Oh, there's only one question left. You only go lottery style. Because I don't need no stinking XY chart. Bring it on. Although I don't know what it is. Ooh, nice. Open done. Nice. That is a long line. Technically it's a ray, I guess. You have to put an arrow on it. Looks like you shot a butterfly. Whatever, keep going. Butterfly. Well, it's hard, isn't it? You know what? Forget it. We do what you're trying to do. And I appreciate that. Yeah, I know. I say that all the time. Very good. Starting at 1, hold whole dot because it's equal. At negative 2, it's just a horizontal line. Now, only thing I would correct on this is, what was the y-intercept supposed to be for this part? 4. X plus 4, so it should have gone through right there. But it's hard to draw, so I see what you're attempting to do. That is roundabout correct. That's the general shape it should be. Questions on that one? All right. We have one more. There were 22 on this review. Last one. Evaluate the piecewise function at the given independent variable. Plug in the value over here to the right. Raise your hand when you think you know it. That's what I do. These I'm taking answers from. Also, if you haven't, whenever we're done, you bring up your clicker in a minute. Don't forget to turn in your homework if you haven't already. Karen, you stepping up? What do you think? Let's see. Let's see. And the answer. I didn't actually. Okay, whatever. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to do this one with the mouse. Plugging in negative 6, which is less than negative 2, so you plug it into the bottom one. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Minus the negative 3 will make it positive 3. Very good. Very good. That concludes our